In today's video, we'll be looking at Man of Steel's hidden message about masculinity and its various stages. I have meticulously watched, rewatched, and researched this film for the past 2 months, digging through every fact, tidbit, and anecdote I could find. Click the link above to see what I mean. But above all, I'm just a guy who loves movies and digs into their deeper themes. We will look at Superman's life from childhood to young adult, and finally, as a self-actualized Man of Steel. We will also look at those closest to him and what role they play. So stay tuned, like, share, and subscribe if this video makes any difference to you. Thanks so much. Let's discuss. What does it mean to be a man? For what reason were we sent here? In a life full of misery, pain, and injustice, were we sent here for a reason? These are the questions Man of Steel seeks to answer. Through its complex exploration of masculinity in its many different facets, we find, hidden in this movie, a guide and map for a man's life. And this is what sets Zack Snyder's Man of Steel apart. It has been critiqued to the moon and back for being too dark and bleak. But that's the whole point of the film. That is what so many fail to see. A hero is useless if they are never met with their complete opposition. From Moses to Pharaoh to Frodo and Sauron, a hero, a leader, a man is useless if he doesn't take on something opposite and bigger than himself. And so, in this Man of Steel, Superman is first confronted not with space invaders, but us, the people he was sent to protect. Throughout Superman's life, he has been an outcast, labeled a freak, and hidden. In fact, his adopted parents worried so much about him being found out by other human beings, one of them dies to protect him just a little bit longer. It speaks volumes of what we humans are capable of doing. And so Superman, like every man, has to first find out how he can help this world he was thrust into. How he can overcome our prejudices, our evil, our fear, our hatred, and help. Help those who would kill him out of fear, to lead us petty humans into a greater tomorrow. Kal-El is born into a dying world, a world where innovation and nature has been discarded. His father, Jor-El, knows it is too late for Krypton, and so he encodes the Codex, the key to all Kryptonian life, into his son. And from there, we all know that he is found by a farmer and his wife in Kansas. Kal-El literally carries his planet's, his people's hope for survival within him, as well as hope for redemption. This might seem like a stretch, but so does every man. Speaking from experience, when a baby boy is born into a loving family, there is great hope and joy. For this man may change the world, just as Moses, Jesus, and the countless good men who have bettered the world. This soul baby is imbued with hope unparalleled. This leads us to the Peter Pan dilemma so many children face. Jordan Peterson explains that each child is pure potential. They can literally be anything. One week they might be an astronaut, the next a race car driver. And this can turn dangerous if the child is coddled too much and told that they are perfect or undisciplined. Because you get a lost boy, a 30-year-old who never matured. Fortunately for Kal-El, he had no choice but to mature. And lastly, we can't ignore the religious elements built into Superman's DNA. His creators were Jewish and modeled Superman after Moses and other Jewish heroes, who were given special abilities to defend their people from innumerable forces. To expand on this identity, we must distinguish that Supes has been portrayed as a Christ-like figure in movies mostly, while he exemplified Jewish identity and struggle in the very early comic books. Even the names Jor-El and Kal-El have Hebrew roots and symbolism. The very identity of Clark Kent is Superman assimilating to humans by hunching, acting cowardly, and altering his appearance to not draw offense. This was very common amongst Jews in the 1930s and 40s, trying to avoid the worldwide plague of anti-Semitism spreading. However, whether we choose to see Superman as a Christ, Moses, or Jewish parallel, he does wander the wilderness in Man of Steel to find his promised self. We all experience growing pains. We all feel the weight of isolation during transformation. Clark might have had it the worst. Zack Snyder bucks tradition and shows us what growing up different really feels like. Instead of Clark being the jock and homecoming king, the all-American Boy Scout, he is in immense pain. Pain from rejection of his peers, pain from the secrets he keeps, pain from his powers. That is, pain from his very nature, his very purpose as Superman, and his pain in not knowing who he really is. His mother and father try to guide him the best they can, but there are some answers you can only find in the desert, in the wilderness. And so, Clark wanders about this cold world he can never be a part of. Throughout his odd jobs, he can never escape being the hero he was meant to be. The incidents of the oil rig, the bus crash, and truck stop shows that he cannot not help those in need, never mind the risk. And yes, there are risks involved when it comes to doing the right thing. The Daniel Penny case proves this, and this brings us to a scene many deride. Pa Kent saying maybe in response to,
"What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?"
angered many viewers. It's so black and white for us viewers, but put yourself in Pa Kent's shoes. From the moment his son crash landed on his farm, he expected the military to show up and take him away any moment. Can you imagine the pain and fear of knowing that you could lose your son at any moment, at any misstep? If not, let me ask you, how many strangers' lives are worth your own, let alone your child's? Yeah, not so black and white now, is it? And we saw Pa Kent die before he'd ever rushed Clark to reveal his identity. I mean, the man stood on business, what can we say? Back to wandering. Clark overhears about the Kryptonian ship's possible excavation in ice. And all roads lead to Rome. Carl takes that job as Joe, meets Lois, finds out about his heritage, and ascends. Or decides to ascend when Jor-El tells him what his true purpose is. Clark finally, after wandering in the wilderness, accepts his higher purpose. He is now ready to fly. One day, they will join you in the sun. Kal-El, Clark Kent, Superman, was sent here to help, to show us the way forward. Even through fear and hatred, he stands with his arms stretched to us, leading us to a better tomorrow. It is the point or the path of men to become a hero, to help the helpless, to live and die for something bigger than themselves. No, we can't fly, we aren't Kryptonians, but we can help others and inspire hope. I know this sounds cliche, but just being a good father, a good friend, an honest worker or employer can change someone's life. Flight. When Superman finds his purpose and embraces it, he finally soars high above the earth, flying. It's one of the best movie scenes that I've ever witnessed. For future reference, all Superman flying scenes should be shot like this. The sheer power and force from the sound effects alone are award-worthy. I felt like I was flying. And this is what purpose does in a man. It's hard to find, but damn worth it. The removal of fear for fire that burns 24/7, knowing what you are on this earth to do. There's nothing like it, no substitutes. But there is a downside with finding your purpose, and its name is Zod. You've seen him all around, you know him, you work for him, you were bullied by him, you might even be him. He walks in fear, in hatred, of himself most of all, and anger at anyone he deems weaker than himself. He is a shadow of masculinity, an imitator passing off weakness as strength, his name perhaps the most opposite of God, an inversion and mockery. He is Zod, pure destruction, hatred, and fear. Zod is a tyrant, the exact opposite of Jor-El. He cares not for reason or truth, but only how he can enforce his way. His Kryptonian supremacist views don't leave room for flaws, reason, weakness, or even good. Humanity and Kal-El are an abomination to him. Zod is Superman's first test, his first challenge. Now, Lex Luthor is usually Soup's first villain, but I think it being Zod is more fitting. Because the film's premise of masculinity in a cynical world has to have a villain that embraces the worst aspects of masculinity, an irredeemable monster akin to the worst, most destructive tyrants in history. And here's the rub. Every man will have to deal with a tyrant in their lifetime. From schoolyard bullies to fascistic regimes, everyone has to face them. Tyranny will always be here to step on good people, forcing a fight. In this situation, there is no way for Clark to run. He can no longer hide. He must become Superman. He must wear hope on his chest, for humanity, for his clan, and for himself, and fight for a free world, a better tomorrow. And in this final battle, we see the genius of Zod as a character, because Zod is a consequence of Clark becoming Superman, and he pushes Superman into the hardest decision of his life so far. Remember how I said Zod's very name is the inversion and mockery of God? Well, Zod's final act is to invert Superman's very nature. I'm talking about that scene. How far is Superman willing to go to save others? Will he kill for it? These are the black and white situations that feel grey when you're in them. That is the weight Park Kent, Superman, and all men carry. The snap. Superman makes the only choice he can in that moment. Zod has killed thousands already. Superman can't let him kill anymore, and so the neck is snapped. People hate this scene and point to it being too dark. Maybe, but maybe that's the whole point. Zack Snyder didn't modernize Superman superficially. He brought 20th century idealism into the 21st century, into the real world. Many criticize this movie for making Superman kill, but in the context of Superman's entire history, it's not that far a stretch. If we look back into Superman's earliest comics, he was dealing with Nazis, Hitler, and social ills of the time. And since Zod is just a super tyrant, I don't think him being killed is too much of a stretch. There is no prison cell that can hold Zod, and Superman will save life at whatever cost he can. That is just his nature. But Supes made the right choice. The choice for truth, justice, and the American way, stopping all of Earth's foes no matter what. In short, the tyrant, the shadow, the pantomime kills all around it instead of lifting up and leading. And real masculinity cannot abide by that. It must stop the tyrant before those it loves dies. Mother is God on the lips of a child. Young Clark was only anchored by his mother's love, her voice his guiding light throughout his life. The kindness and trust only a mother can give, even in the worst of times. And throughout Clark's aimless wanderings, lonely years, and search for identity, Martha Kent was his guiding light, his anchor, waiting for him to find what he needed. And then came Lois. The story of Lois Lane and Clark Kent is one of love at first sight. Lois is the love of Superman's life, the guiding light. We see in Batman vs Superman what her voice means to him, how he would never let anything happen to her, while letting her chase her purpose. She is his fixed point, around which everything else revolves.
She is obviously Superwoman in a societal sense.
She opens Cal's eyes to an entirely new way of existing.
And so, the relationship between men and women, especially in the Judeo-Christian worldview, is that of equals, partners in life who balance each other out so well they become one person. So, looking at the pain, the loneliness, and huge responsibility being a man carries, what's the point? Do we live this life in service of others, of God, of Zod, of ourselves? I have my beliefs, but I'll give any man out there a universal truth, and that is truth. Find truth. No matter what you do, seek truth out. Truth of life, of behavior, of morality, of service, of humans. Obsess over it, and you'll eventually get on the right path. I'd personally find something about myself that I hate and relentlessly try to fix it. Whether you fail or win, you'll at least learn a truth about yourself. Oh, and find Jesus, gym, eat meat, and take responsibility for your life. Peace.